Welcome. Get ready to gently fall asleep as you listen to me reading a poem by Walt Whitman called Song of Myself. Before I begin, I'm going to talk a little about Walt Whitman and why I chose this poem. If you would rather skip directly to the poem, the chapter links are in the description. I chose this poem to help you sleep because the blend of imagery and sensuality and positivity will help your mind open up, help your body relax, help your imagination flow, and help your emotions gently soften and become calm. Walt Whitman's work is very deep and very rich. It can transport you into the natural world. You can experience the beauty and power of both nature and human civilization. And if you have ever struggled with loving yourself, of seeing your unique beauty and vibrancy, then Walt Whitman is for you. In Song of Myself, he explores and revels in self-love. Now, Whitman claimed that he was not referring to himself in the poem, but when he says myself, he's representing all people. But some readers, including me, believe he left it open to interpretation. When I read it, I can feel a very strong and tender love of self. This poem can be a powerful support in your path to self-love. You can decide for yourself, because good poetry always has multiple meanings. That's part of what makes it endlessly readable. Walt Whitman has a visceral, tactile way of expressing himself. You can feel the joy of a person who lived fully, experiencing every moment with all of his senses. From what he wrote in his journals and from the people who knew him, he really lived and experienced life this way. To him, there was no separation between his spirituality and the experience of living in a physical body and dealing with all that comes with it. For him, spirituality was infused through all of life and all of life's experiences. So he was spiritual and also so grounded in nature and his physical body. As an empath, this is something that I've struggled with. I can go into spiritual states and very mental states, but in both cases, I can end up feeling disconnected from my body and from the world around me. The truth is, sometimes the disconnection I feel is more comfortable for me than being more engaged in the world. But I know that I miss out on the human experience. So I make time to be in my body, to exercise, to be outside, and to travel. And this is why most of the guided visualizations in my videos are focused on the body, because grounding and being connected to my body is so rewarding. Walt Whitman first published Song of Myself in 1855 in a book called Leaves of Grass. I will be reading from this copy, published by Barnes & Noble. Although he was a product of his time and culture, as we all are, he was also incredibly progressive for his time. In his day, his poetry was seen as scandalous, and his book was banned in libraries across the US. He even lost his job because of it. In his poetry, he was pushing back against the very prevalent notions of the time that the body and bodily pleasures were shameful, things to be hidden and never talked about openly. So he was a rebel in his time, and that comes through pretty clearly in his poems. One more note. In the full version of the poem, he touches on some topics that could be triggering for some people. So I'm actually reading an excerpt and leaving out a few small parts, because the goal of this video is to help you gently fall asleep, sleep deeply, and wake up refreshed and ready for the day. I am focusing only on the positive, beautiful, life-affirming messages in his poem. I want this video to be as gentle and sweet and relaxing as possible. Let yourself absorb the words. Let the imagery dance within you. Let yourself feel any emotions that the words awaken within you. If you're a visual person, really see the things, the people, and the places that Walt Whitman is describing. The more you gently engage with your imagination, the more your mind will begin to shift toward sleep and dreams. The poem is about 50 pages long, so I'm only going to read a portion of that right now. I'm experimenting with this video, so please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of it. And if there is a poem or other text that's in the public domain that you would like me to read, please leave me a comment about that too. Now it's time to take a slow, deep breath and get comfortable. Take a moment to sit or lie back, relax, and enjoy this excerpt from Song of Myself by Walt Whitman. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me, as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air, born here, of parents born here, from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health, begin, hoping to cease, not till death. Creeds and schools in abeyance, retiring back a while, sufficed at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad. I permit to speak at every hazard. Nature without check, with original energy. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The smoke of my own breath, my respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, passing of blood and air through my lungs. The sniff of green leaves and dry leaves, and of the shore and dark-colored sea rocks, and of hay in the barn. The sound of belched words of my voice, loosed to the eddies of the wind. A few light kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms. The play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag. The delight alone, or in the rush of the streets, or along the fields and hillsides. The feeling of health, the full noon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Stop this day and night with me, and you shall possess the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters in books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides and filter them from yourself. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end. But I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. Out of the dimness, opposite equals advance, always substance and increase, always sex, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Sure as the most certain sure, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, braced in the beams. Stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical. I and this mystery, here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one lacks both. and the unseen is proved by the seen, till that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn, showing the best and dividing it from the worst age vexes age, knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of things. While they discuss, I am silent and go bathe and admire myself. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthwith cipher and show me to assent exactly the value of one and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead. Trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of my early life, or the ward and city I live in, or the nation. The latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors old and new. My dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues. These come to me days and nights and go from me again, but they are not the me myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary, looks down, is erect, or bends an arm on an impalpable certain rest, looking with side-curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. Backward I see in my own days, where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments. I witness and wait. I believe in you, my soul. The other I am must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want. Not custom or lectures, not even the best. Only the lull I like. The hum of your valved voice. The peace and knowledge that pass all the argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the promise of my own. And I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own, and that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that a kelson of the creation is love, and limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and mossy scabs of the worm fence, heaped stones, elder, mullein, and pokeweed. A child said, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and remembrancer designedly dropped, beating the owner's name some way in the corners, that we may see and remark and say whose. Or I guess the grass is itself a child, the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among white, Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman, Cuff. I give them the same, I receive the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use your curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be if I had known them, I would have loved them. It may be you are from old people, or from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive, after all, so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I peruse manifold objects, no two alike, and every one good. The earth good, and the stars good, and their adjuncts all good. I am not an earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Every kind for itself and its own, for me, mine, male and female. For me, those that have been boys and that love women. For me, the man that is proud and feels how it stings to be slighted. For me, the sweetheart and the old maid. For me, mothers and the mothers of mothers. For me, lips that have smiled, eyes that have shed tears. For me, children and the begetters of children. Undrape. You are not guilty to me, nor stale, nor discarded. I see through the broadcloth and gingham, whether or no, and am around, tenacious, acquisitive, tireless, and cannot be shaken away. The little one sleeps in its cradle. I lift the gauze and look a long time, and silently brush away flies with my hand. The youngster and the red-faced girl turn aside up the bushy hill. I peeringly view them from the top. The blab of the pave, tires of carts, slough of boot soles, talk of the promenaders. The heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogating thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow sleighs clinking, shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the hurrahs for popular favorites, the fury of roused mobs, the flap of the curtained litter, a sick man inside borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath, the blows and fall, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star, quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd. The impassive stones that receive and return so many echoes. What groans of overfed or half-starved, who fall sunstruck or in fits. What exclamations of women taken suddenly, who hurry home and give birth to babes. What living and buried speech is always vibrating here? What howls restrained by decorum? Arrests of criminals, slights, adulterous offers made, acceptances, rejections with convex lips. I mind them, or the show, or resonance of them. I come and I depart. The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready. The dried grass of the harvest time loads the slow-drawn wagon. The clear light plays on the brown, gray, and green, intertinged. The armfuls are packed to the sagging mow. I am there. I help. I came stretched atop of the load. I felt its soft jolts, one leg reclined on the other. I jump from the cross beams and seize the clover and timothy, and roll head over heels and tangle my hair full of wisps. The Yankee clipper is under her sky sails. She cuts the sparkle and scud. My eyes settle the land. I bend at her prow, or shout joyously from the deck. The boatsmen and clam diggers arose early and stopped for me. I tucked my trouser ends in my boots and went and had a good time. You should have been with us that day round the chowder kettle. The wild gander leads his flock through the cool night. Ya honk, he says, and sounds it down to me like an invitation. The pert may suppose it meaningless, but I, listening close, find its purpose and place up there toward the wintry sky. The sharp-hoofed moose of the north, the cat on the house sill, the chickadee, the prairie dog, the litter of the grunting sow as they tug at her teats, the brood of the turkey hen, and she with her half-spread wings. I see in them and myself the same old law. The press of my foot to the earth springs 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am enamored of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle, or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of ships, and the wielders of axes and mauls, and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them week in, week out. What is commonest, cheapest, nearest, easiest is me. Me going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me, not asking the sky to come down to my goodwill, scattering it freely forever. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter dresses his plank. The tongue of his foreplane whistles its wild ascending lisp. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The pilot seizes the kingpin. He heaves down with a strong arm. The mate stands braced in the whaleboat, Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons ordained with crossed hands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bars as he walks on a first day loaf and looks at the oats and rye. Thank you for listening to this poem. Please leave me a comment letting me know what your experience was like. Sleep well and take good care.